Hey guys, and welcome to Money Talks News, the podcast. This episode, we're talking about the Secure 2.0 Act. Now wait, I know that sounds boring. Don't turn off your sets, because if you're not familiar with this act, you really should be. It was recently signed into law, and while it may sound boring, as we're about to explain, there are provisions in this bill that are going to make you richer. So let's take a minute and see what's in this thing. I'm Stacy Johnson, as usual. My co-host will be financial journalist Miranda Marquit. Hello, Miranda Marquit.
Hello, Stacy Johnson.
Listening in and sometimes contributing is our producer and novice investor, Aaron Freeman. Hello, Aaron.
Hey guys, is it secure? Is it really secure?
I don't know. It's Secure 2.0, my friend. And if you don't know what that means, you will, because this week we've got a special guest with us. It's Ed Slott, this founder of IRAhelp.com. Hello, Ed.
Great to be here. You know, when Aaron just said, is it secure? I mean, I may be aging myself, but I just saw that movie on TV from the early 70s, Is It Safe?
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, Marathon Man.
Marathon Man, yes, I remember that. Is it safe yet?
When Aaron said that, is it secure? He sounded just like that guy.
Yeah, it could be that you and I are the only people who are going to know what that meant, but I don't know. Anyway, Ed is one of the top retirement planning experts in the United States of America. He has poured over the contents of this bill. He's memorized it, and he's ready to help us understand the key provisions. Okay, I embellished a little bit there. You didn't memorize it, but you have gone over it.
Nobody has memorized it. The only advantage I have over Congress, I actually read it.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Ed. Before we start, folks, remember this is not financial advice because we can't give you financial advice. We don't know you. So make sure you do your own research and consult your own experts before you act on anything that you learn in today's podcast. Okay, let's dive in. Ed, what the heck is a Secure 2.0 Act?
Well, you have to go back, and they tell me, and I've been talking about this, obviously, since it came around and doing a lot of programs, and they tell me if I want to sound hip to younger audiences, and I need to discern between the Secure Act, the original Secure Act, and Secure 2.0, I should refer to Secure Act as the OG, whatever that means.
The OG?
So Secure OG, you have to go back. And just a little piece of just information about how Congress creates law. In over 40 years of studying tax law, there's always one constant. Whenever Congress names a tax law, you can almost always bet that whatever they name it, it will do exactly the opposite. So when I first saw Secure Act, the OG, the original one back in 2020, I said to myself, hold on to your wallets. And that's exactly what happened. Congress didn't like everybody piling up retirement money, even though they say they like it. They didn't like piling up retirement money for the next generation, to children and grandchildren. So they killed one of the biggest breaks in the tax code that's been around for decades. This is the original Secure. That was transformative. That was game-changing. And that was the beginning of what we have now. They ended that long payout to beneficiaries where they could defer and keep earning from their parents and grandparents' IRAs for 20, 30, 50, 80 years. Congress didn't like that. They said that's too good of a deal. I guess they don't have children or grandchildren. I don't know. So they ended that deal and made it a 10-year rule, which got very complicated. So it upended most people's plans, especially people that have been saving for decades and having these plans. So now we have Secure 2.0. That is probably the most overhyped tax law that's been around recently. I think what they like most about it is that how they got it done, just for showing up. It's like a participation trophy or something. They enacted that. The president signed that December 29th. Talk about, if not for the last minute, nothing would ever get done. I don't even know if you heard the whole story about how this got enacted.
I don't know anything about
everybody had left Congress.
Oh, it's in the bill. It's in the big budget bill.
Yeah, 4,000
okay.
bill. And he was already on vacation in St. Croix. They had to have some staff person fly down the bill. It reminded me of one of these old James Bond movies. Did he have like the suitcase handcuffed to his wrist or something? He had to have this bill, the original bill. He flew commercial, so I don't know if the bill was in the overhead or was it checked luggage. I don't know where it was, but it got down to Biden. He signed it in St. Croix into law. And now we have a law that's effective virtually a few days later. So Secure 2.0 picked up on where the original Secure, but the original Secure was game-changing. This is not, but it has a lot of goodies for everybody. Over 90
Ed, let me go on a limb here. You don't like Congress, and you don't like Secure 2.0.
No, I think there are some great things about it. What Congress wanted to do, so in the original Secure, they felt people had too much retirement money, so we're going to cut that out. In Secure 2.0, they said, people should really be saving more for retirement. But then when they save too much, they say, well, that's too much. So they opened up the floodgates with Secure 2.0, and the point of it is to give people more options to put more money away for retirement. And I think that's great. And what they really did is they opened up the Roth element of it. And that, I think, is the biggest benefit of Secure 2.0. I love Roth IRAs because I love tax-free. Anything tax-free, you keep more of your hard-earned money. No question about it. Why does Congress want more people to do Roths? Because it brings in money. It brings in money. That's how they're paying for everything else in the bill.
Because they're not getting a deduction when they're putting the money in.
Right.
Yeah.
The Secure 2.0 is only about 350 pages of a massive over 4,100 page omnibus bill. So they're using the Roth, opening up the Roth spigot to pay for everything else. And as you said, that if more people do the Roth, then they're not getting tax deductions up front like they would with their 401k. So Congress gets money. It's a revenue raiser. But lucky for all of us, this is the best part. You said I don't like Congress. I'm fine with Congress because they're the worst financial planners on earth. And that works to our benefit because they're short-term thinkers. This whole bill is positioned in a 10-year budget cycle. So they figure they're getting all this money in up front from people doing more Roths, but then the benefit on the back end, everybody else that does it is going to have more money, it will last longer, and it will be tax-free.
Okay,
so
now you got me excited. You got me excited here, Ed. And I didn't know much about this bill. I mean, I did a little research for this show. But can you give me the bullet points? What's happening? What is in this bill?
All right, so they opened up Roths, for example, things that you could never do with a Roth. Let me explain why Congress loves Roths, besides the revenue provisions, just to everyone else, because people say, well, why does it, how does Roth, putting more money in a Roth, give the government more revenue? The way it is, let me give you a simple example. If somebody did a regular 401k contribution at work, let's say they make $50,000, and they put $5,000 in a Roth at work, they only get taxed on the net. The W-2 will only show $45,000. So in effect, they get a deduction. Deductions cost money to the government. So if Congress can cut out deductions, they raise revenue. So an employee now that does, say, $50,000, the same $50,000 in a Roth 401k, does not get a deduction. They pay tax on the full $50,000. But I'm saying that's a good thing, because rates are very low right now. Deductions aren't really worth anything, especially when it comes to deductions for your IRA or 401k contributions. Most people don't understand this, but a deduction is really just a loan from the government that you have to pay back and then some at some future date, like when you need the money the most in retirement, and they hit you with a bill based on whatever future tax rates are. And I'm worried those tax rates will be high. So I say it's great that Congress likes Roth IRAs. So what? We forgo the deduction, but now we can open up more sources to put money into tax-free Roths. Tax-free Roths means, yes, you don't get a deduction up front, but if you hold the Roth till retirement as intended, everything that comes out when you'll need it most will be absolutely income tax-free for the rest of your life, and even 10 years beyond to your beneficiaries. So you're getting something for your investment now of giving up that deduction. So I like anything Roth. So now we have new Roth SEP IRAs, never existed before. Roth Simple IRAs, never existed before. Roth matching contributions at work, that didn't happen before. It went to the 401k. Roth catch-up contributions. So Congress, I call it Roth-a-mania, loves Roth because they need money. So let's take advantage of their short-sightedness.
So what can we do? Because Roth has been actually. Let's take one step backwards. For those of the uninitiated listening to this podcast, Roth, you put your money in, you pay tax on it, you put it in a retirement plan. You don't pay tax on any gains in that account till you retire. But when you take it out at retirement, you pay no tax.
Right.
With the idea that taxes will be higher by the time you retire.
That's exactly right, Aaron.
Right.
It's a giant bet. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Taxes are a bet. It's like buying the tax rate, like buying a stock, like, buy low and sell high. I didn't make that one up, but you can use that. That's a good one. Buy low, sell high. The old comedian, Henny Youngman from years ago, had a great saying. He said, I'm putting all my money in taxes, the only thing sure to go up. This is exactly the point of the Roth. This is well before the Roth, but he said it as a funny line, but it's true. You're betting exactly like what Aaron said on the tax rate. If you think tax rates in retirement are going to be higher, and I think so, then you're going to get a huge advantage of foregoing deductions and tax benefits now up front to build a tax-free savings account that you'll never have to take money out unless you want to. And when you do, in retirement, it will be tax-free. You'll never have to worry. This is a tough time in retirement. When the paychecks stop, the last thing you want to hear is, well, now I'm dipping into my retirement money, but taxes went up to 40 or 50%. Yeah. That's a big
Do you think it's, oh, by the way, before I forget, here's another Henny Youngman line. I have all the money I'll ever need, providing I die by 4 o'clock.
Yeah. And I'll give you even another one. I love his stuff because it's quick and easy, makes great points. Because a lot of people don't address this. That's why I'm glad we're on this program. They brush it under the carpet. And, he used to say things. One of his saying is, when I read about the evils of drinking, I gave up reading.
That's good, too. Okay, now, wait. What can we... You're glossing over this stuff, but if I'm a novice here and I want to know what this bill did for me, I heard you say I can contribute more to a Roth. Can you be a little more specific? Because what if I'm, by the way, I can't even contribute to a Roth because I make too much money. So,
well, there's ways around that. That should be the worst of all your problems, that you made too much money. That's for another show. All right, I'm too rich. What can I do? Maybe start a podcast on that.
Well, that's one of the things I am doing. I'm losing money on this podcast, so that's helping reduce my income.
Please help! I'm too rich. What can I do?
What? No, be specific. What could I
do.
not do last year that I could do this year?
First of all, most people can contribute to a Roth, but there are income limits. You're right, and but they're very high levels. For example, in 2023, if you're a married couple filing joint, the income limits don't come until your income is $218,000 or higher. So that's a pretty high number. And for single people, it's $138,023, where you can up to that, you can still contribute the maximum. So that, most people that covers. But let's say you're just too rich for that. You made too much money. You can still contribute to it. There's a workaround. We call it the backdoor Roth, which is totally legal. And what's unusual or unexpected, Congress was worried about that stuff for years, and they had their chance in the Secure 2.0, but they left it alone. We thought they were going to kill the backdoor Roth. They did not. That's still viable. I guess they wanted to do it for themselves.
This is probably plenty of people in Congress like, hey, leave that in there.
Yeah, I'm high income, all that income. I want to do Roth. So here's what you do. If your income's too high, you make a contribution, an IRA contribution to a non-deductible IRA. There's no income limit for that. And then you convert it to a Roth. Now you're back in the same place. So there's a workaround there. If you have young people tuning into this program, the Roth, it's a slam dunk. Every young person should only be contributing to a Roth IRA, their own, if they qualify, and a Roth 401k at work. The greatest money-making asset any individual can possess is time, and young people have more of it to capitalize on it. Imagine if we could have whatever our retirement accounts are at this point, the value of it could have been, you snap your fingers and that, poof, it's all tax-free. Can you imagine? They get the opportunity to start that from $1. Now, people like us that have built up balances, or if somebody listening has a built up balances, the only other way to get big money in a Roth is to convert their IRA to a Roth IRA, but that costs money. You pay the tax up front. But I still think that's a great investment if you believe, like I do, that tax rates in the future will be higher. And I think they will be. A lot of retirees... Oh, go ahead, Miranda.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you mentioned the Roth 401k, and I think one of the things to really talk about that the Secure 2.0 does for the Roth 401k is, first of all, it gets rid of... It used to be in the past where if you elected for a Roth 401k, your employer's contribution went into a traditional IRA.
That's right.
And so that was taxable later. Well, they've redone it now so that now your employer, this Secure 2.0, lets your employer make those matching contributions into your Roth. So that's number one. Number two is, in the past, the Roth 401k was subject to required minimum distributions, RMDs. This Secure 2.0 says all Roths are treated the same. So there are no more RMDs for Roth 401ks. So that's another... I just wanted to make that in there because
that's a big benefit.
These are big changes that the Secure 2.0 has made.
That's a big benefit. Remember, again, same thing. Congress wants more money in Roths because it brings in money up front. So let's take advantage of this short-sightedness. That's a big deal, no RMDs in Roth 401ks, because what people had to do before, once they hit RMD age, required minimum distribution age in their 401k, if they had a Roth 401k, they had to get the money out to their own Roth IRA to eliminate that. Now they don't have to move money around like that, and it can keep growing tax-free for the rest of their lives. They never have to take the money out.
Very cool.
Unless they need it or they want to, and even then, it would be tax-free.
There's also a savings plan. Wait, actually, before we get into that, let me do a quick break. We have to pay the bills. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk more about more provisions of this act and how you can use them to become richer. So hold on one sec. Okay, we are halfway through our show, and so let me tell you about our sponsor. It's TELUS, the first savings app designed for home buyers by real estate experts. With TELUS, your savings earn more in one day than up to 3 weeks in a traditional bank savings account. What's more, there's no stock or crypto exposure, no fees, and you can withdraw anytime. Visit moneytalksnews.com/TELUS to sign up. That's TELLUS. We'll also have links in our show notes. Use the code MONEYTALK and get a 5.5% APY for 7 days with $125 minimum. I was going to say $1 million deposit. $125 minimum deposit. Okay, folks, we are going to go back to our show, but before we start, if you appreciate what we do a little something for us. Share the show with your friends and family on your favorite social media platforms, and subscribe. Takes you 2 seconds, really helps us though. Okay, we are now back. So now I read something about an emergency savings provision in this bill. Did I make that up? There is something, right?
Yeah, that's not a big deal. I don't know how many companies are going to do it. They're calling it the Roth Rainy Day Fund. And this is another thing about 2.0. Because of all the budget gimmicks in Congress, it used to be years ago, again, I don't want to date myself, but years ago, when a tax bill became law, when it was enacted, everything in that law became effective generally on the date of enactment. Well, a law was a law. Now it's the law. Yeah. That, because of all the budget gimmicks, in the Secure 2.0, not everything we're talking about is immediately effective. They have effective dates. Some are retroactive, some are 23, some are 24. I keep myself a cheat sheet I have in front of me. Some in 25, some in 26, some in 27, and some in 2033. It's all over the place. So when we talk about certain things, they may not be readily available. That's kind of a Roth Rainy Day Fund, that Roth Link savings account. It sounds like it's a good idea. Again, helping people get money in where they can take money out if they have a financial emergency, because Congress has found out through just life, I guess, that sometimes people are afraid to put money in commit money to a retirement plan because they're afraid, what if I need money? They've cited the study in the Senate report that said, you probably heard about it, that if the average person can't come up with $400 for an emergency. So they cited that and they said maybe we'll get an emergency. So that could help people contribute that might otherwise be afraid to because the money would be tied up maybe.
Yeah, so the specifics of this provision are that you can take up to you can withdraw $1,000 from your retirement account, not just your Roth.
Well, that's a different provision.
Yeah, this is the emergency. This is the emergency.
Two different provisions. Yeah, that's to get money out to avoid a 10% penalty. The $1,000.
Yeah, so there are those two, and so the first one is you can take this money, and I think this is the one you were referring to, Stacy, where you could take $1,000 out without having to pay that 10% tax penalty. Then you can't use it again for another 3 years. So basically, once every 3 years, you can take $1,000 out without having to have that age 59 and a half and avoid the tax penalty. The other thing that Ed is talking about is the emergency savings account, which you can set up with a payroll deduction, and that comes with its own caps as well. But you
$2,500 it says.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. So there are those two different provisions that can help you with emergencies that are tied to these retirement planning.
Yeah, so they're giving you more ways to get money in, but more ways to take money out, I guess, because people are afraid, what if I put the money in and I need it? And they added a whole host, as long as you open that door, of 10% penalty exceptions. What that is, most times, the way Congress made this deal years, actually decades ago, the deal was, we're going to give you a deduction for your IRA or 401k contribution, but the deal is we're giving you this long tax deferral if you agree to use it in retirement. And if you don't, we're going to lower the hammer on you. And if you use it before 59 and a half, generally, we're going to hit you with a 10% penalty. I think that's awful because who does that hit? It hits the people that need it when they're down, that need the money the most. Right. But so now in Secure 2.0, they've added a bunch of ways to get money out. But on the other hand, they may be encouraging too many people to dip in for things that may not be emergencies. And, it's never a good idea to dip into retirement funds early unless it's an absolute last resort. That's the most expensive money. So they've removed the 10% early withdrawal penalty, but you still owe the income tax. So it's very expensive money. It's also the hardest to replace because if you're going to use it now and drain that retirement account now, what are you going to have for retirement?
Yeah, I had a friend that dipped into his for a wedding.
You know what? It's funny you said that. Years ago, I had a client that did that. I said, don't do that. It was a second marriage. They didn't have money. The husband had a 401k. Oh, we'll just, we want the wedding, just like you said. And I said, don't do that. It's not an emergency. What are you going to have for retirement? So they took out, I forget, like $20,000, a lot of money, took out $20,000 somehow. I guess they were able to get it out of the plan. And and there was no
penalty.
There's no penalty exception for a wedding. That's not yet a financial emergency on either Secure 2.0. So, but they didn't care. They were so short-sighted, kind of like Congress. They took the $20,000, spent it on the wedding. I was doing their taxes the next year. They spent all that money. Now they didn't have any. I think they took a loan. That's what they did from their retirement. They spent all that money, couldn't pay it back, so now it was taxable. So the next year they had a tax and a penalty. They didn't have money to pay the tax or penalty, so they took more money out to pay that. Then they got into this cycle of taxation that wiped out the guy's whole 401k in about 4 or 5 years.
I wonder if they're still married.
Yeah, they are. I know them. But they both got different jobs now.
Another thing I noticed, Ed, when I was going over the details of this thing, I'm older, so I get to make what's it called? More catch-up contributions is the word I was groping for. And now they're saying the catch-up contributions to 401ks have to be done as a Roth. Is that right? Or something like that.
Only in the plan. I think this is a good thing. It makes, Congress is making it sound like, well, if you make too much money, we're going to force you into the Roth. People that make a lot of money want to be in the Roth because they don't want to pay taxes at higher rates in retirement. So here's the thing. Before, the catch-up contributions wouldn't go into the Roth. Now they can go in the Roth 401k, but they must go to the Roth 401k if you earn your wages from that company are $145,000 or more. They must go in to the Roth 401k. Big deal. I think that's great. If you're making that much money, hopefully you can afford to.
Well, by the way,
money.
there is an argument to be made for paying tax. For getting deductions at a high tax bracket and taking money out of a lower one. I mean, if you're making the assumption that your tax rate is going to be much higher when you retire, then obviously the Roth is in your best interest. But it is possible that my tax rate could be higher now than it is when I retire.
I don't know if it is possible, giving the biggest threat to retirement savings today is a 4-letter word, which I have to say on this program. What's the 4-letter word? Nope, it's not kids. Everybody knows that's a lousy investment. Where's the payoff on that? Used to be the American dream was to own your own home. Now it's getting the kids out of it. No, the 4-letter word is math. Look at our deficit and debt levels.
You mean a $31.4 trillion national debt?
I don't know. I used to say it was a phone number, but now it's longer, even with the area code. When you get into the trillions, it's crazy. So at some point, the whole country is living on a credit card. At some point, I believe they're going to have to raise tax rates. And who's going to be in the soup when they lower the boom? It's going to be the people with the most money that has not yet been taxed, people with IRAs and 401ks. And as far as you mentioned before that people might be in the high bracket now, still, look at the history of tax rates. They're still in probably the lowest rates they've ever seen in their lifetime. And people who are at a high rate now will more likely be at a new higher rate when rates go up at some point.
You're probably not wrong. Well, the tax cuts that were passed under Trump have put me in a way lower, not a lower bracket, but I'm paying way less income tax than I used to.
Right, and those are supposed to revert back in 2026. I don't know if they will, because it's never popular. I know already how it will be positioned politically. The other side will say, oh, they're raising taxes on you. So they might not raise taxes, but every year that goes by, they don't raise taxes. The math has to kick in. The debt goes up and up and up, and at some point, it's got to come home to roost, I think. I mean, unless they just kick the can down the road forever.
They've been kicking the can down the road for most of my adult life.
Yeah, well, now they came up with a solution. I read about it in the Wall Street Journal. It's not for real. Don't. But if you saw that piece of the Wall Street Journal, they figured one solution for solving the $1 trillion debt was to mint a $1 trillion coin.
They talked about that for decades.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, you have this $1 trillion coin. Oops, where did I put that thing?
I think are you a CPA, Ed?
Yeah, cleaning, pressing, and alterations. That's what my high school teacher wrote on my yearbook.
I think you missed your calling. I think you were supposed to be a stand-up comic.
No, here's the problem. Everybody says that when I do programs. You just gave away my secret weapon. Low expectations. Whenever they introduce a tax guy, if I say anything interesting, they say, well, that was pretty interesting for a tax guy.
It's true, though. I'm a CPA also, and I'm like watching paint dry. I'm boring. You're not.
Well, get together with an actuary, and then you'll feel exciting.
I fell asleep at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost out of time. Give me the provisions. First of all, what we want to encourage people to do is to go to our show notes, hit some links and learn more about this, because it obviously is relatively, it's not something you're going to learn all the details to in 15 minutes. But if hit the big notes for me, Ed. What's the most important thing I need to know about this new legislation?
Well, they moved what people think is the most important, but I'm not so sure. They moved the RMD age up from 72 to 73. Here's where there's a lot of misinformation. So if you saw the headlines after Secure 2.0 came out, it said RMD age raised to 75. Right. That's not true. That doesn't happen till 2033.
2033.
That doesn't happen for 10 years. That's what I mean. The effective dates are all out there. But 73, all right, one more year to do some good things before RMDs kick in. But I don't know if I would wait. This is the thing. They're shortening the window when all this money has to come out. That will cost you more long term if rates go up. You may want to think of doing early Roth conversions before RMDs kick in and get some of that money out at rock bottom low rates. That's where we are now.
Hey, what about annuities, Ed? Do you recommend those? I mean, because I've got a lot of money in a regular IRA.
I don't sell them. I'm a tax advisor. I don't sell stocks, bonds, funds, insurance, annuities. But, for the right person, especially with all the nonsense going on in the market, if you're closing in on retirement, I have a basic rule. In retirement, income, guaranteed income, is more important than savings because savings can run out. They're always coming up with different ways to separate people from their money. 10 years ago, it was credit default swaps, subprime mortgages, collateralized debt obligations. I still don't know what those things are. All I know is whoever had them lost all their money. So then recently we came up with another version. We came up with crypto, NFTs, SPACs. When SPACs came out, they called them blank check companies. That's what they were calling it. And people say, oh, I want that for my retirement. What? So there's always going to be something coming up that will separate you from your money. The problem is, as you get older, you won't have enough years to recover. A lot of young people lost money in crypto, but they don't care. They have more money, more years to recover. Plus, they got parents that can bail them out. You don't. So guaranteed income, I think, is pretty important. My mother had this, and I'm telling you, she lived into her 90s. It's the best thing that ever happened to our family. Those guaranteed checks, she had 4 or 5 of them, came in every month, no matter how old she got, no matter how sick she got, no matter how the market performed. She didn't worry about volatility. Also, just on another note, I don't have any facts to back this up, but people who have guaranteed income, they're just happier people. They don't worry about anything.
That makes sense. And and actually now, I wrote an article about this a couple of months ago. Now's a good time to be shopping annuities too. And I don't sell annuities either. I'm just saying they're actually not super good friends of mine because they're kind of boring. But the point is, what insurance companies do with an annuity is they take your money, they put it in bonds. Interest rates are higher. You're going to get higher payouts now than you would have a couple of years ago when interest rates were 0. So
the only thing better than guaranteed income for life is what I have. Guaranteed tax-free income for life. I've put some of these annuities in my Roth IRA to get the double benefit. So if
you have done that.
I need income, I have guaranteed income. I'm hoping I don't use it and leave it to my kids. But if I need it, I have guaranteed income. And because it's coming out of my Roth, it's all tax-free.
Yeah. But isn't there a provision that allows you to withdraw or to annuitize part of your IRA? Am I misstating that?
Actually, that's a new provision. It's not new, but they've expanded it. But it's called QLACs, Qualifying Longevity Annuity Contracts. And they've expanded the amount you could use up to $200,000. These are annuities in your IRA that don't kick in, longevity annuities, for people worried about running out of money like in their 80s. They kick in around age 85, where if you live past that, you have a guaranteed stream of income. But even though they increase the amount which you could do to $200,000, I don't see a lot of people using them.
No, you can't use that until you're 85? The income?
Well, yeah, that's what a longevity.
I'm not
that's
doing
the
that.
Point. That's what it gives you a big return because it's earning all those years. The whole point is to have a new source of guaranteed income just when some of your other funds might be running out.
I'm not taking that bet.
Yeah. I don't think you should take that bet.
No, Aaron parties with me on the weekends. He knows I shouldn't take that bet. Okay, guys, we're out of time. Anybody have any final comments, suggestions, anything you need to scream into the microphone before we cut this one off?
No, I was going to say, I wanted to call attention to a couple things. First of all, that currently many plans that employers have to match student loan payments revolve around getting rid of the debt, but it also is considered taxable income. Secure 2.0 switches that around. An employer can make matching 401k payments based on the amount of your student loan payments. So you could say, okay, I've paid X amount of dollars down in my student loans, and then the employer can say, okay, we can match that in your 401k, and then it's applied to that retirement account rather than being seen as immediately taxable income. So that's really neat. Another interesting thing is that Secure 2.0 allows, starting in 2024, allows you to roll 529 plan funds into a Roth IRA. So if you've had a 529 that you've had for at least 15 years and you haven't withdrawn all of the money from that, you can actually roll that remaining money into a Roth IRA. So this is actually very cool. Thing
just
that you could do
on that. The overall limit, that's another one that's been overhyped because the overall limit is only $35,000. So people have been talking to me saying, oh, I got, 529, 300,000. Matter of fact, I just heard from somebody last week said, I started the 529 for my kid when he's 1 year old. Now we've got a few $100,000 in there, but the damn kid got a scholarship. Now what do we do? But it's only up to $35,000.
$35K is still $35K.
No.
For a lot of middle class people, $35K, that's a decent amount.
But it's not $35K. You can only do it in increments of whatever the IRA contribution limit is.
Right.
So let's say if 7,000, you can only do 7. It doesn't
That's
kick
true.
in next year. So even if it was 7,000, you'd have to wait 5 years for that to kick in. So it's not all it's cracked up to be. If you have small balances, it's great.
Yeah.
So what we've
And the
learned
majority
here
of people
is,
have small balances.
well, that's true. But what we've learned here is that there are a lot of provisions in this bill that
Yes.
you really need to look at, and that includes those of you who are 25 and those of you who are 65. So there's something in here for everybody. Do take a look at it. You might learn something that's going to make you a little money. Now,
I
Aaron,
learned a lot.
go ahead. What?
No, I was just saying I learned a lot. This is very informative.
Yeah. Well, would you tell our jazz band to start playing again? Because we have to close this podcast.
Sure. Kick it up, boys.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we are out of time, but we're never out of topic, as you can tell. Dig a little deeper here. You're going to find links to lots more info in our show notes. And remember, if your goal is to make more, to spend less, to retire rich, well, your online home is moneytalksnews.com. And don't forget to check out Miranda's online home as well. That is Miranda Marquit, MARQUIT.com. And of course, you want to visit Ed Slott. If you don't, you're crazy. Did you hear him? He's great. Go to IRAhelp.com, IRAhelp.com. If you got a question, comment, or topic you'd like to suggest, tell us about it. You can email us at hello@moneytalksnews.com. That's hello@moneytalksnews.com. And one final thing. I've said it once, I'm going to say it again. If you like what we do something for us. Subscribe to our podcast. Takes you a couple seconds, really helps us out though. So if you like us, show us and subscribe. Ed, thank you so much for being here today. You're awesome.
Thanks.
I'm Stacy Johnson.
I'm Miranda Marquit.
Aaron Freeman.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. We're going to see you right here next time.